guys ready for a little bit of football tonight? I know it's been a while since I've done this. I've had some scheduling conflict. Things happen. One, I work third shift and my job has been working me. So, my apologies. But I am going to try to get you brought up to speed as best as I can. Get you ready for some high school football. Check out some games that are worthy of taking a look at. Look at some top stories from, I'm on the Catch It Kansas website this particular moment, as they have Friday 5, the best Wichita area high school week 5 games. So let's just take a look at that. Actually, this was from last week, and I'm not going to even Yes, hold on. Matter of fact, Friday 5, the best Wichita area high school week 5 football games. And this was by a friend of mine's, Jeffrey Lutz. If you listen to KFH Radio, you heard us putting on our shenanigans yesterday as we were giving our football picks. And I've moved up the rankings because the following week I had went on the bonus pick. I said I'm going 10 on this particular game. And it brought me up the ranks. So I got everybody on notice. I'll put it that way. Including Jeffrey Lutz, who is the contributing writer for this story right here. So where have all the close games gone? Admittedly, maybe we're just bad at choosing the best games each week, but there has to be some responsibility on the team not holding up to their end of the bargain, right? Through 4 weeks and 19 games of the Friday 5, one game was canceled due to weather. The average score is 38-16. 13 games have been decided by at least 3 touchdowns, and in 7 games, the margin of victory was above 30. Shout outs are due to Winfield McPherson, 29-23. Goddard Andover, 14-13. Conway Springs Garden Plain, 13-7. And Andale Wellington in a shootout. When I seen this score, I was like, what is really going on? 56-48. Those are the only close games decided by single digits. It's week 5 now, so maybe enough trends have been set that we'll find some close and meaningful games on the slate. Maybe not, but we'll look for them from these 5 games. Andover, 2-2 at Goddard Eisenhower, 4-0. It's Goddard Andover week, and while we'll have to wait for the marquee matchup in the series, Eisenhower, Andover Central, this one offers some intrigue. How far has Andover really come after last year's winless season and a 14-game winless streak that ended with a Week 2 win over Mays? How seriously should we take Eisenhower as a threat in Class 5A after the Tigers reached the semifinals last year, barely losing to Cape and Mount Carmel? One way or another, we'll probably get answers to both those questions on Friday night. Andover is coming off a not terrible win over Ark City, and Eisenhower has won all of his games by double digits. Andover is led by senior running back Noah Noyes, who rushed for 132 yards when the Trojans broke their losing streak against Mays. Eisenhower boasts defensive depth with quarterback Derek Morgan, and his 13 passing touchdowns get already 13 passing touchdowns. Wow. Carter Papps, 150 receiving yards per game, and Braden Pappas, 490 rushing yards. So that's right there is a 3-headed monster that you have to take into consideration. Guarded 3-1 at Andover Central, 4-0. Andover Central got all the way to Class 4A title game last year and has responded to that 35-7 loss to St. Thomas Aquinas with a vengeance, running its first 4 games winning its first 4 games by an average of 32 points. That includes a shutout of Valley Center last week. Goddard swept the Andover Goddard series last year with wins over Andover Central and Crosstown Eisenhower. But the Lions missed a chance for an early signature win this year when they lost to Eisenhower 32-21. That game was featured in the Week 2 Friday 5, and we're thankful it wasn't a runaway. Somehow, Andover Central lost 4 games in a row last season. The Jaguars have been on a tear since winning 9 of 10, with its only loss in the 4A championship to Aquinas. Goddard needs to find similar consistency. His last winning streak of more than 3 games came in 2018 when the Lions were the 4A runner-up. Caden Stroot and Brock Sullivan lead Goddard's offense, and Preston Hagel and Trey Wright help boost a stellar defense. Jace Adler, Brent Stupka, Jackson Green, and quarterback Jace Jefferson are the stars of the Jaguars' potent offense. Garden Plain, 2-2 at Haven 4-0. This has the author's vote for most intriguing game of the week, especially because we get to talk about Haven, which is making its first appearance in the Friday 5 in spite of 4 impressive performances. In the Wildcats' first 4-0 start since 1995. Haven lost 4 games last year, but has already avenged one of those, turning a 40-38 season opening loss to Hillsborough last year into a 51-13 win to start the season. One of Haven's losses last year was to Garden Plain. If the Wildcats make a similar score margin turnaround, they'll beat Garden Plain by 18 points, but don't count on it. We're expecting and desperately hoping for a close one in Haven on Friday night. Haven has 2 players averaging more than 100 rushing yards, quarterback Nash Ray and running back Vance Loop, who also has 9 touchdowns. Junior linebacker Grant Patry already has 40 tackles. Garden Plain has lost to 2 defending state champions, Conway Springs and Cheney, and doesn't face another title winner for the rest of the regular season. The Owls lean on two-way junior Emmerich Hayes, who leads the team in rushing yards and sacks, and on Cooper Shear, who leads in tackles and touchdowns. Topeka Highland Park 4-0 versus Wichita East 2-2 at Wichita Heights Field. Speaking of teams that haven't made an appearance in the Friday 5 that we're excited to talk about, here comes non-Wichita area team Topeka Highland Park. Known for its superb basketball program built into a perennial state championship contender under former coach Ken Darting, the Scots are on the rise in football, which is crazy to think about for a team that endured 7 straight winless seasons between 2015 and 2021 and a stretch between 2005 and 2021 in which Highland Park went 11-138. What even is that? Oh, and not only are Highland Park's 2 straight winning seasons is only winning seasons of this century, and not only are the Scots 4-0 for the first time since 1952, but they also have not allowed a single point this season. Running back Jamon Wilson has 356 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns, and freshman Lorenzo Sullivan-Sowell has 28 tackles. That whole no points allowed thing might be a problem for East, which was shut out by Northwest 3 weeks ago. Its 2 losses to Northwest and Capon are sandwiched between 48-0 wins over Heights and West. That means 7 of the 8 games these teams have played between have been shutouts. Something's gotta give. Derby 4-0 at Hutchinson 3-1. Speaking of shutouts, Hutchinson has 3, beating Valley Center, Mays, and Salina South. the last 3 weeks by a combined score of 75-0. Unfortunately, none of those teams has a single win this season. When Hutchinson played difficult competition, it lost 37-7 to Andover Central. So this game might not be an answer to our wish for close games, but we have to fit Derby into the Friday Five for the first time. The Panthers are the state's top-ranked team after all. Derby statistics aren't eye-popping because the Panthers haven't played a close game all year, resting starters when the games get out of hand. Maybe players such as sophomore running back Arias Finley, 395 yards, and Tennessee commit Deshaun Brame, a tight end receiver with 9 touchdowns so far, get extended time on Friday night. Senior quarterback Drew Kemp has 12 touchdowns, and defensive end Peyton Prey, perhaps named after Hutchinson's best chance at a win on Friday, has 3 sacks. Hutchinson won't go down easily, though. Senior Cade Smith has 844 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns, and Carter Morgan has 38 tackles. So there are some area games that I hope you will take into consideration. Once again, I want to thank the writer for this particular story, Jeffrey Lutz. Like I said, you can hear him on the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH Radio, 1240 AM, 97.5 FM, or at KFH.com. And you can also pick it up on the Odyssey app. So, there. You know where you can find Jeff at. And on good days, sometimes you'll find me filling in. Programming note, too, to those of you who are listening to this podcast, and I know I must make sure that Jeff gets a link to this, too, as well, too. But normally we do our picks on Thursdays at 3:25. However, due to a change in my work schedule because of inventory week, y'all won't get to hear my voice give my picks. So I will definitely reach out and let them know they will have to find someone to take my place. Maybe they can get the hitman Greg Williams. Maybe he knows something about football. I don't know. Anyway, what I'm going to do right here, I am actually going to take a break. And when I come back, I will try to come up with a schedule of other games that are also taking place in the area. So you're aboard A-Train Sports Talk Podcast, the number one podcast in the state of Kansas, the one that gives young student athletes a voice. Also, Coach's Corner. Hopefully, we'll also take a look at some games scheduled for the KCAC. That's right, we do talk about the Kansas Small College Football Schools. So don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. This is yours truly, Anthony Smith. Yes, getting you ready, set, hut for some football Friday action. Here it is, October the 4th, I do believe. And I think the A-Train tonight is going to pull up at Andover Central. I think that's where the train is going to pull in. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give you the slate of games all across the state of Kansas. And get you ready, because there are some teams I know that are ready to get last week's bad taste out of their mouth. And there are some teams looking to continue building on what they have already established. So we're going to look at the 6A and 5A game slate, and then we'll take it on from there. So starting with 6A, we got Campus going to Mays. Wichita North traveling to Wichita South. Big win for Wichita South last week over Bishop Carroll. I can honestly say, didn't see that one coming, and especially in the dominating fashion. So that Carroll program is still reeling. Then we have Great Bend versus Dodge City. Wichita West going up against Wichita Northwest. Highland Park, Topeka Highland Park to be exact. We mentioned them earlier, taking on Wichita East. In 5A, Garden City takes on Liberal. Derby travels to Hutchinson. That'd be a good game worth traveling to. Newton taking on Salina Central. Salina South coming in to visit Valley Center. Andover versus Goddard Eisenhower. Wichita Heights taking on Bishop Carroll, so something has to give there in that game. 4A, Marysville. That's right, Marysville. We're talking Marysville. Last I checked, they're having a good season. So we want to give some shouts out to Marysville. I've actually been to Marysville, Kansas before too, although it was at nighttime. But they, from what I've seen, they have a nice school, nice facility. So kudos to them in their winning ways this year. Wamego versus Bueller. Circle takes on Winfield. Goddard against Andover Central. Wellington taking on Augusta. Circle takes on Winfield. El Dorado travels to Mulvane. McPherson versus Rose Hill. Wellington takes on Augusta. Wichita Southeast going up against Capon. And I got to get used to seeing Capon in 4A. And Mays South going up against Ark City. In 3A action, Pratt travels to Collegiate. Nickerson takes on Andale. Clearwater travels to Chaparral. Hugoton is traveling to Scott City. Holcomb is going out to Colby, getting close to that Colorado border there, not too far away. Ulysses taking on Goodland, and they're definitely about 17 miles from the Kansas-Colorado border. And we've already mentioned those games. Smoky Valley traveling to Heston, and Chapman taking on Concordia. 2A, Cheney travels to Hoisington. Hillsboro travels to Ellsworth. Norton Community takes on Russell. Cimarron travels to Larned. Southwestern Heights travels to Lakin. Douglas will be in Kingman tonight. Eureka taking on Blue Stem. Wichita Trinity goes up against Belle Plaine. Halstead will take the journey to Minneapolis. Garden Plain will travel to Haven. And southeast of Saline will welcome in Lyons, while Russell will welcome in Phillipsburg. Council Grove will be traveling to Osage City, and Wichita Trinity will be traveling to Belle Plaine. In 1A, South Summer will take on Ellenwood. Smith Center taking on Thomas More Prep. Syracuse traveling to Stanton County. Oakley traveling to Plainville. Republic County taking on Harrington. Syracuse, we already mentioned that one. Sacred Heart will be traveling to Sedgwick. Sterling takes on Medicine Lodge. Mountain Ridge will host Remington. Conway Springs will host Hutch Trinity. McLeod taking on Valley Falls. What I'm going to do right here, I'm going to take another break. When I come back, we're going to get you set for 8-man football schedule. That's right, 8-man. So don't you dare go nowhere. This train is building up ahead of steam still. The number one podcast in the state of Kansas, getting you set for some high school football action. Welcome back to the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast, the number one podcast in the state of Kansas, getting you set for some high school football. Hopefully, tomorrow, when I do this, we'll be giving you scoring recaps. But now, it's time to look at 8-man Division I. And right at the top of my list, where a good friend of mine is coaching, Matt Fowler, I want to say best of luck to you and your Oswego Indians out there as you go to Burden Central. Sylvan Lucas will travel to Lakeside. Kinsley will welcome in Spearville. South Central will be host to Independent. The Crowds will host Quinter. Kiowa County hosting Udall. Central Plains traveling to Gossel. Cedarville will be traveling to West Elk. Little River will be traveling to Canton Galva. Madison will go to Northern Heights. And Yates Center will be traveling to Chase County, while Armour Northeast, which is right up the road from Pittsburgh, Kansas, will be hosting Sedan. And Hill City will host St. Francis, while Oxford will travel to Pratt Skyline, and Meade will go to South Gray. Trego Community will travel to Ellis. Wichita County will travel to Ness City. Rock Hills will play host to Lincoln. Decatur Community will be hosting Hoxie. Linden will be hosting Flint Hills. Atwood, Rawlins County will be playing host to Stockton, while Sublette will travel to Elkhart. Solomon will travel to El Saline, while Washington County will take on Clifton Clyde. That was your 8-man Division I schedule. Now we're going to take a look at 8-man Division II. Spearville will be traveling to Kinsley, while Thunder Ridge will travel to Frankfort. Fairfield will travel to Argonia, while Century will travel to Rural Vista. Pretty Prairie will open up their doors to host Norwich, while Maxville will be hosting Buckland. And I believe we already mentioned Fairfield, Argonia. Yes, we did. Ashland will play host to Deerfield. St. John Hudson will travel to Victoria, while Osborne will travel to Pike Valley. Mineola will travel to Satanta, while Tribune will host Wallace County. Wheatland Grinnell will take on Marmottan Valley. Hodgman County will play host to Stafford, while St. Paul will host Central Christian. Dighton will play host to Logan. And Hanover will travel to Blue Valley Randolph. And we're going to close things out by looking at the 6-man, as Northern Heights will take on Golden Plains. Altoona Midway will travel to South Coffee County. Weston will take on Bird City Chelan. Chitopa will go to South Barber, while Burton will take on Tescott. Morris Desingas Valley, I hope I pronounced that right, will travel to Peabody Burns. Western Plains will go to Tri-Plains Brewster. Moscow will travel to Ingalls, while Pawnee Heights will play host to Rolla, and Otis Bison will play host to Cunningham. This has been the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast on a Friday. Like I said, I do apologize for not being in tune with everything. I know I did say some KCAC looks, but time will not permit me to get to that. But I will have the KCAC. Well, I'll get you set for the KCAC tomorrow while I do my scoring show tomorrow. I'm going to do a recap of all games played throughout the state. That's right. And then I'll also get you set for games to be played in the KCAC. But hope you have enjoyed the ride along the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast on a Friday evening as you get ready to travel to take in a game of your choosing. There's some good games on slate for tonight. So get out and support these young men who entertain you on Friday nights up under the Friday night lights. Until next time, God bless. Talk to you later. I'm out.